John Michael say he wasn't coming today?
I didn't see anything, but. 11:03. Oh, we got enough to vote anyways.
Right. Those are all the same mind.
Yeah, that's true.
I guess at 11:06 he's not responded to my text. I don't. Give him one more minute.
Boy, Mike, I'm getting asked a lot of questions about these roads. All the
Which
time.
roads?
Huh?
Oh, it's the water line though.
It don't matter. People are so mad.
They'd rather die from bad water.
Huh?
They'd rather die from bad water. This is what it's about the water line. They're replacing
I know.
lead pipes.
I know what they're doing, but
But
the whole city's in disarray on the
yeah,
streets.
now I just heard at a meeting yesterday that they're going around for the second round of patch, and most of and they said give a call if you've got anything that if you got any bad ones because they've pre-done hit a bunch of them. You know, it settles first, and they hit a second batch. But I mean, in the big picture, people in Michigan that had bad water, you have all kind of health problems. I think, and most people I tell is once I tell them, you know, what they're doing, they're trying to replace any bad water lines. People kind of understand it. I mean, I understand though that it's an annoyance, but I feel like Market Street's much better. The
Yeah,
last
they've done a lot of
week.
patching
Yeah,
on it.
yeah.
But they got a lot more to do on Market Street.
Well, they got more on the.
Got over there at Fairview, they just did that road, they got it all messed up now. They just did the road. Literally.
They did originally try to coordinate the ditch with the street work that was scheduled.
Yeah, but they caught up to.
Right, yeah. It's a big.
I
it's a
think
big-
that's in the bylaws. They tear up the street as soon as it's done.
Being,
They just drive around with fresh.
You definitely can't pull somebody over for drunk driving right now, to say
Yeah.
the least. I swerve all the way through because boy, if I don't, man, I can't imagine where I'm riding a motorcycle. Holy jeez.
Probably not a good idea.
I'm guessing within a couple of weeks, people will start to report in the ones that they think are, bad or still not been done. Because they say they're going through it. I mean, they had to wait unfortunately until they could start making patch originally. I mean, it's an asphalt issue.
One of the houses I did for a lady, she had copper line, but they still dug up in that area. Her line had already been replaced, but anyway, it's been an amount of dirt and rock since September.
Well, have her contact, Greg Toth.
Here's what Greg has said here recently, that if you know a specific address where there's an issue, email him that address. And make sure that it's, you know, if it got missed, go back and get it, whatever. But,
That's on George Street, so.
like I said, if you know the address, email it to Greg and he'll make sure it gets taken.
Email it to who?
Greg.
Greg Toth.
Yeah, he said, you know, they'll verify that it needs to.
I'm guessing that Market and Broadway are their biggest complaint areas because of the traffic level. And then,
That's the heaviest traffic.
yeah, and then so in most cases, they need to
Hey, Perry.
identify those streets.
We get ready, you gotta pull your mic toward you, cause it's not lighting up, it's not picking you up. And I'll never be able to tell, I'll never be able to tell what you're saying.
All right. I'm guessing John Michael's not gonna respond back tonight. He had mentioned there were some meetings he's gonna be missing in the future, and this must be one of them, and Suzanne will be here this, so we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. It's 11:09, and we'll call this meeting to order. First item on the agenda is the consent agenda, the April 22nd board meeting minutes. I'll make a motion to accept them as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by sign of aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. The minutes pass. Next is the financials. We've got the non-TIF districts and the Lexington Village districts. Not much has happened here this previous month. Nothing of any note really to speak of, other than things we've already approved. So I'll make a motion to accept financial reports for both the TIF and non-TIF and the Lexington Village residential area TIF. Is there a second on that?
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? All right. We did move, well, I guess we'll mention that later. Okay, one last piece of, oh, I'm sorry. All those in favor signify by sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you. My short-term memory's gone. Get too old. Okay, the next item is it's under old business because this is something we had scheduled to do quite a few meetings ago. And when we went to pay it, we realized it never made we never voted on it originally and never got in the packet, I think. So that is my fault, 100%. So this is Resolution 2024-313. It was an authorization for work that was done at on the banks of the Eel project, the parking lot down there. Okay. And it showed the original amount of $34,805.05 was to be paid from the consolidated fund. It was determined to be incorrect amount in Resolution 2023-347. So this goes back and corrects that wrong problem in that amendment, which was, the original was 2023-347 from last year. So I will make a motion to accept this resolution as presented. Is there a second?
A second.
Any further discussion?
What are we sitting on this one now? How much on this part?
Total? I don't know that off the top of my head. Mr. Cuppy is at the Chamber golf outing today, so he usually has those kind of numbers available, but I don't know what.
This, and just so you know, Perry, this isn't new money. I mean, you'd already approved it.
Yeah,
This
I
is just
know
bookkeeping.
we already approved it, but, I mean, are we in the 600-700 range now for the parking lot? Because we were up in the 400s and then they came back.
I don't know, and we also got $150,000 back from LU that originally we'd pledged to them. They gave us that back. We spent it, obviously, again, but I don't know, honestly.
I can't
we
tell you
can
right off the top
find
of my
out.
head. I want to say the original bid that came in, the higher bid was like 1.6.
Right.
And I think we're still under the 1.5 or right around the 1.5, which would be with the 130 coming off of that.
Right.
you're probably looking at about $550
Yeah, city paid half.
of our money, of RDC money coming into that.
Yeah.
Because $750 of it was ARPA funds, and $130,000 would have come back from LU, and so then that's what you guys have approved.
Right around 550.
Somewhere around there, I would say, is in the ballpark.
I did see some aerial photos on Facebook, and looks to be, like, say, for 4th of July down there, it's gonna be nice to have, we got those parking spaces across the one side are kind of designated to be park use, so it's gonna be, you know, and if they don't have an event, then they can use that too, but it's shaped up real nicely, and as I say, and I
I think they're saying that they're gonna open up in August. I was at one of my alcohol board meetings, and I think she said.
Alcohol's Anonymous.
Yeah. I think they said, I think she said August is what she said. Because they just got approved for
Yeah.
having alcohol down there.
I think they wanted to go earlier, and they've had some delays and stuff, so that may be one of them, but I heard that they were taking firm things in September for events, you know, I think that, you know, I think they want to get open as soon as possible, which I understand. Okay, so, all those in favor of resolution 2024-313 signify by saying of aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. The motion passes. All right, moving on to new business. We have Miss Amy Dinsborn with us this morning. She wants to talk to us. So I'm keeping a mystery for you.
Thank you for allowing me to talk and a little bit about myself. I'm Amy Dinsborn. I've taught at Lewis Cass for 17 years in science.
Your microphone's right there in the middle, so if you
Maybe I should just
sit down.
here. And,
Yeah.
taught science, and as you know, it's a small school, so 7th grade science, biology, AP environmental science, ICP, earth space science, and then since Mr. Olam left, AP bio, I picked that up too. So here to just talk about maybe ask requests for some TIP funding, since things have changed with that, with the pass-through, and for Lewis Cass. So we'll get into it here. So this is 2024 TIP request. That's our front of the school there, information, as you know. And our school is 389 students, and then 195 are female, 194 are male. And then a large majority, and I apologize, this is kind of small, but our ethnicity, out of those 389, 335 are white, and then 28, which is 7% Hispanic, and then 18 multiracial, which is 5%. And then our free and reduced lunch, we have only 44%. We're not above 50% for the free and reduced lunch. And I included that because I expect you to say, Mrs. Dinsborn, has Lewis Cass applied for this with other grant resources? I have, and I was declined because of diversity in the free and reduced lunches, so unfortunately. So that's kind of about that. The students that are going to benefit directly from my request are the science, the ag, and the FFA classes. For science, we have biology, earth space, chemistry, AP environmental science. We also have physics and anatomy, but this would be a direct that we take the students out to the Arboretum. High school diploma requires 3 years of science. So out of that 389, 292 students are enrolled in a science class. Most of those students, because they enjoy the classes, will go ahead and take a 4th year as an elective. They'll go ahead and sign up for that. The FFA ag classes are natural resource management, wildlife management, landscaping, plant and soil science, forestry, and horticulture. and our FFA has 172 members. We have a very strong FFA program. So in 2014, Earth Day is when the Arboretum at Lewis Cass started. Mr. Appleton is one of the ag teachers there. And I said, I want to do something for Earth Day. What are our needs? And they had recently cleared out a little creek by our school that he was using for tree identification. He said, I'd like to see us get the 50 common trees of Indiana on our campus. So spring break that year, I made up a list of the 50 common trees, and I went around to local businesses and asked for donations. So everything is donated or propagated that you will be seeing. So we started in back behind our softball field. It was a dump, and there were pallets back there. There were couches. There were bookcases, and kids would go back there and smoke cigarettes and all that stuff. That is the cement. All the other stuff we'd hauled out. What was left was cement, and in there was gravel, which you'll see why that was important here in a minute. So then this picture was taken approximately 2019, like 5 years later, because I should have taken more pictures. So that's the same area, and the gravel pile you see there, what happened was, it's kind of a neat story. These are sieves. Actually, Mr. Olam made them. They're 2 sieves. So a student on each end, and then one student with a shoveled that cement and that dirt through there, and they made that gravel path. Now we've refreshed it over the years, but the original gravel path was with those kids sieving that gravel out, and they really took a lot of ownership in that and did a nice job with that. So this is our cottonwood here. That was in 2019, and I just took that this week. Here's our cottonwood. And you can see down here, there are oaks, there's a river birch, and then mulberry, which was volunteer. So here's another picture of that area where you see there's nothing. So, I mean, you couldn't even mow through there. So here's another part of that. This is an elm tree here, and then this is yesterday when I took the picture of the elm tree. So how much it's progressed in 10 years. So this coming in on Howard Street, you look to your left, there were no trees there. So we planted a line of trees, and the maples are here, and then we have a red bud right there. Actually, it's a crabapple. The red bud was here and blew over. So here's that red maple. It's right here in that picture. So, and you can see that's a little sapling there. It's a maple tree now. Kind of fun looking at that. And those students are probably in their 20s that planted that now. So this is just another area, and you can see how many trees are flourishing in that area as well. And then here's our buckeye tree, and when we planted it, and now it's thriving. And then the hardwoods, we have a couple species of hickory. We have a couple walnut trees. We have a butternut, and we have a chestnut tree there within those. And obviously, they take longer to grow, so they're not as big as the softwoods. And then we made a butterfly garden, and this is the progression. We wanted to get milkweed because once Roundup Ready, farmers started using that, all the milkweed died. So it's just that awareness that the monarch butterfly, they take off from Mexico in the spring. The butterfly that took off, there's 4 generations. They travel, lay eggs, hatch. The mom dies, lay more eggs. Those die. So the butterfly, 4 generations later, go back to Mexico. So it's very interesting, and they need food to live on and lay their eggs. So the milkweed, it's really, I'm very pleased with that. So benefits of outdoor classroom, obviously promotes creative and problem-solving skills. Test scores have improved, grade point averages are higher, decreased behavioral problems. And I think anybody who has kids knows, hey, if you get outside, they're gonna, they're gonna wear themselves out. Reduce symptoms of ADHD, and then obviously improve mental health. And we all know that. If we go for a walk or we get outside, we feel better. And mental health right now is kind of a hot issue, unfortunately, for Lewis. Career paths and job opportunities. A lot of students didn't even think to major in environmental science till they took my class. They didn't even know it existed. Entomology, we have an entomologist from our school, Dane Hill, graduated from Purdue, and he's kind of world known now. Soil and water conservation, the counties hire those. Landscape design, DNR, soil science, IDM, and then obviously a lot of our students, if they're not part of the family farm, they work on a farm. So, okay, forest management, we teach them how to measure board foot of lumber, talk about canopies, hardwoods, softwoods, all that, and that you would want to know how to manage a forest and succession, those things. Water cycle and transpiration. So when I talk about the water cycle, a lot of transpirations when the water exits the leaves and goes back up into the atmosphere. So we take plastic bags, we go out and tie them on the leaves of trees, and then you can even just wait 1 hour, but I wait a day because that's when I'm going to see that class again. And then we go out and they'll see the actual water in the plastic bag, and they really hang on to that. And that follows along with photosynthesis and cellular respiration too, water as a waste, because they don't realize how much water is drawn up for those trees and it goes out into the atmosphere. That's important when trees are planted along rivers. They'll use a lot of that water. Local plant toxicities of livestock. So it's good for them to know, especially with free range becoming more prevalent. There are certain plants, if your livestock eat them, they're toxic. So rhododendron, mint, actually, acorns, wild cherries. It's not the cherry, it's the leaf that when they ingest it, it becomes like cyanide and it takes the oxygen out of their blood. So a lot of farmers, I grew up on a farm and that happened to my dad and my brother. Yeah, it's like a storm would come and the tree would get knocked down. So obviously tree identification. I think it's important for all students, everyone, to know their trees. You should know, I feel like everyone should know their trees. And then invasive species. Those, we have Thistle Thursday. They go out a lot of times, and Canadian thistles are terrible out there, but as a whole, the nation spends millions and millions of dollars combating invasive species. And it's just good for them to learn about all the invasive species, how they are invasive, their root system, their leaf cover, and how they collect all the sunlight from other plants and thrive. So what Lewis Cass is requesting, it's funds for an outdoor structure and 6 picnic tables for the campus arboretum. So when we go out, we don't have, sometimes we'll take like a tarp or something and sit on the ground, but we really don't have a place to sit and write and work. So I took 2 pictures. This is a picture, Logansport, out by their cross-country course. And then this is a picture, Spencer Park, a structure there. And if you'll notice, there's a lot of storage here. And there's additional seating on the sides. Aesthetically, those are gorgeous, very nice. And then these are the picnic tables. These are at Bishop Park. They have the metal base and the composite top. So costs and estimates. Brian Strong indicated that the materials for this structure was approximately $17,000. And then they had the school trades class put that together for them. the pros is the storage and the seating, and the cons is, and if he's asked, what would you change? And obviously, it's small, and that's, that, I don't know the measurement on that cement pad, I do the other one. But it is all small, but if you've ever been to Lewis Cast, it's windy. It's always windy out there. So we would definitely want something with storage and that can kind of block the wind from the west. In my classroom now, I store shovels, rakes, and all of those things, and we carry those out there. Well, a lot of times those kids, as soon as they get a shovel, what do? They put it on their shoulder. Well, they forget people are right behind them. So you're constantly like, oh, no, I gotta be careful. And then between classes, if I can store lab stuff in there, then when we go in and we come back out, then it's like not blown away, it's not disturbed or any of that. So that is vital. It doesn't have to be big, but it would need to be a wind block, and some storage would be appreciated. And then this is the shelter at Spencer Park. And I talked to Jan. She used Icon Shelter Systems. She bought, I believe, 5. And if I'm wrong, correct me. And those are $35,000 a piece. The cement pad, which is 22 by about 30, which is an ideal size when you have a group or 2 classes of students. That was Lauthan poured that was $6,800, and then Grand Industry put those together, and they charge approximately $7,000 to put those together. The pros, it's well built. It's going to be there forever. Like she said, these are going to last a really long time, and they are. I don't know if you guys have seen them yet. They are aesthetically they're gorgeous, very pleasing. Lacks storage, and there's no bench seating around. So. And here are our picnic tables, and they're composite top with a metal base, and those are $1,000 each, and so that comes in at $6,000. So what? And then I just have my little closing. The first day of school, I take them out because they've heard for 6 class periods all the rules and what you can and can't do. They're ready to get outside. We go out and they can pick a wildflower or leaf, and they just do a little stamp thing for the first day of school, write what class they have, the period, and I hang them outside my classroom. They love that. They love going outside, and so just thank you for your time and consideration, and this can come to fruition. My students and the school would really appreciate that. It would really be utilized. So I was just hoping maybe I could move further along with this. I don't get your input, see what you're thinking.
So what money, what do you want? How much money do you want?
I would think to do the whole project, it would be around 50,000, 50 to 60. I don't know that I would do the Icon. I like those, but online when I got on their website, they did not have the storage. So I thought maybe I could try to find a bid from someone local, and it maybe would be less expensive than that.
The nice thing I'm on the Parks Board too.
Okay.
The nice thing of those ones that they've been buying recently is it's a clear span, it's a metal trussed clear span thing. So in the old days, you had purlins coming across to rafters, and birds would sit on there and do their business and drop down below. The ones that the parks are doing now is say it's clear span. What that means is there's no weight thing, so you could actually build a storage thing down there without any, it doesn't, like I think in the one that the Logansport had for the cross country, I think it's actually supporting some of the weight down at the other end. Yeah, I mean, so I think it's kind of sitting on top of that thing. You could actually build a storage thing with the one on the right. You since it's all clear span, you could build something down there and have it a storage facility of some sort, have a door into it or whatever, have whatever size you want. So you're not limited by what you have to have it. It's like, support, like in the other one's gonna have some trusses and rafters and stuff like that, but so you could do whatever you want with that. I mean, I think so you could but I'd say I've been fairly pleased with the ones in Logansport's case because they don't have enough bodies to go around and clean the tabletops all the time. When they have a group coming in, and you got bird droppings on there.
Yes, and I didn't even think about.
Yeah, and
birds.
it's also,
That would
yeah,
be
yeah.
an
So it's
issue out there.
longer lasting than what they used to build before, and I say, from that part there. Now, the interesting thing is, I'm trying to sort this out in my head, is I had talked to Mallory Claypool. I thought you were coming because of this other topic, so I brought his stuff along. He is there is a fund that we have, that we provide, like the Century Career Center, with some money. And it's education and training. I don't know, I wish Bill Cuppy was here, the limitations of what that can and cannot do. We had talked to them about the fact that Lewis Cass is supported by the industrial park. Some of their students come out of that area. And the number, I thought, the total number that could be used for, the 15% that could be used out of that area was about $45,000 total part for Logansport. I mean, right now, Logansport's been using all of it, but if we split it up, the debate kind of came with Mr. Claypool, and he just didn't get back to me. I asked him for some numbers and stuff as to whether what's fair. Do we say, okay, you split this 50-50 out there and say, okay, half of it goes to Logansport, half goes to Lewis Cass, or do you need it by head count? So how you do, how many students are in that, in their case, the career center type stuff, which is what the intention of the state is to get that stuff. When I look at what you're talking about, I mean, so if we're worrying about welding and that kind of stuff, I don't know that the things you point out are not any less important, environmental, ag, all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of an interesting thing that I'm not sure that I first thought, oh, wait a minute, this has to be something. And he made clear, and I don't know the difference, but Mr. Claypool was talking about how Lewis Cass does not have a career center. They think they got something better than a career center. I'm not sure what that means, actually, and he couldn't define that. And so it's kind of case quick, go head count money as to how you split that up. The other thing was he had some stuff about that he was pushing a regional firefighting training center, and that was interesting because it was like I wasn't clear on the students, because he's also talking about they have a volunteer fire department and they'll be using that, so they had like adults too. So it was kind of, he was all over the place. He kind of talking a mile a minute. But anyway, so this kind of stuff we have the discretionary fund for too. So it's a case where we can actually walk off. I mean, I don't know whether we need to save money for him on his thing. Say, yeah, this has been probably 3 weeks ago. I talked to him and he was going to get me information, and I have not seen it, though I did talk to Logansport school superintendent. He gave a presentation to the county TIF people, and he listed us giving money on his list of who's providing money. He's already penciled us in, which is okay, But and maybe the fact is that they could get more money out of the county too. So anyway, we have the option, I think, to go a couple different directions here. And I say again, it's from our world of economic development, having kids. I guess one more thing. The problem he had out there too, I asked him, I wish we would have been able to take a tour out there before summer. It wasn't clear because they are working with Maconaquah, Northwestern, and it's unclear. Our money's supposed to be for Logansport. I mean, we're a city TIF, so but we have
Southeastern
is part of that industrial park out there. I don't know whether us getting money for Maconaquah kids and Northwestern kids, I don't know if that's part of our, that would be more the county, blah, 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 blah. So, I mean, again, that may have been where he got kind of stuck on that. I think yours is a whole different situation. I mean, I think we can look at your thing separately. We have done, through quality of life before, we've provided, I think it was close to $50,000 for the Fairview one from this board before, as a quality of life thing. So we could do that same thing. It would not need to be an urgent. And I don't know. I don't know if we need to tie it to the industrial park. Again, I guess it'd be a good discretionary.
Yeah, you could use discretionary. I think you've got your, I mean, within your industrial park, I think you can probably justify that part of it under your educational component.
Right,
Because of the
right.
number of students, and you're dealing only with, like you said, Lewis Cat students for
Right.
this deal. I think you'd be
Right.
okay. It's a matter of how you want to divide that up.
Right.
You know, you guys, that's up to you guys to decide is, do you use part of this and keep some of it for Logansport, or do you use, you know, say,
Right.
Logan, industrial park is,
Right.
is in Lewis Cass and it should be going
Yeah.
to them, or, you know,
And we've
you,
already pulled some of that out of, I think we've already pulled some stuff out of there this year already, but let's
Right.
say,
but I think you had,
and that would only, there's only like 45,000 total, so if it's half, she get 22,500. That's not enough to do what she wants to do here either.
correct, you could do,
But we
you
also-
also have the ability, you can move within, because you have your educational fund budgeted out of all three accounts, right, out of,
Right.
out of
Yes,
it. So
yes.
proportionally, you're taking a certain amount out of each one, you could
Oh, that's
change
true.
that proportion
Well-
to your downtown and your consolidated for anything that Logansport asked for.
Right. Oh, that's
And
true.
make it a,
Yeah.
that would free
Right.
up more money in the industrial park than
Yeah,
available for Lewis Cass. So that's another option you have, keeping it within kind of the same guidelines that you've been using.
right.
And like you said, your discretionary fund still falls into play there, you know, you have a number of options you could
Yeah,
address.
the only thing we gotta be careful of is, I mean, again, I don't know the role of Mallory Claypool as to whether he's gonna come back and say, wait a minute, I'm now here to ask about the education fund. Say, well, we already gave it to Amy.
Well,
Not
when
to start
I
a civil war out there, but,
Well, when I reached out to Mr. Darnell, because I reached out earlier about inquiring, I said, I asked if Mallory was doing anything, and he indicated he was reaching out to the county commission and encouraged me to reach out as well. But he is also on vacation, Mr. Darnell is, so I don't know.
Yeah.
And,
well, and in some of the cases, like you say, the other thing I'd asked Mr. Claypool was, you know, if you guys are in a superintendent transition, you know, and he's pushing firefighting training center, if all of a sudden a new superintendent comes in and says, and I just saw a state announcement where the state's gonna have 6 or 7 different firefighting training centers through the state funding. I don't know if that changed his approach on this or not, and I know Logansport's doing the same thing, and Logansport got some money from the county for a fire training center, and they've actually hired the fire chief in Logansport to be the instructor or whatever. So I kind of wonder if we should go the other direction and go like quality of life, like we did like a park type thing. Because we've done that type of, I think we may have done that exact one from quality of life, and that way you're not reaching, go with like discretionary fund and, thoughts, gentlemen? You like it, you don't like it?
Amy, are you kind of leaning towards that covered pavilion is what you're looking at?
I like the one at Spencer Park, and I didn't even think about the birds till Mike brought that up. Yeah, I am, and then he said, well, you could put, I'm just trying to see, I didn't want to go too deep into the weeds because I didn't want to get real excited and then like, oh. So I know if I can we can have a place to work and have protection from the wind and the sun and be able to store things. Because, I mean, a lot of times they'll say, I only came to school today because of this class. I mean, they love going out there and working, and sometimes we'll just go out there and have a lesson.
Have you looked into any involvement in the community as far as helping out with, concrete work or anything like that?
I haven't. I thought I maybe would reach out to Steinberger, because Matt Llewellyn used to be on the board, and see if he would be willing to, but if they would, but I haven't made any contacts except for talking to Brian Strong and Jan about
Well,
those.
with that, with the covered pavilion, and you're gonna be, and seating, you're gonna be somewhere in the neighborhood of $55,000. And then that doesn't give you any kind of storage. So you're gonna be another, you're gonna be probably at $60,000 before you know it. And any help you could get through the community would be, because I'm not sure if $60,000,
That's why I thought,
That's a
maybe
big
I
ask.
probably, I thought, should I look for someone else, like, get a bid from someone local to build something? And then,
well, I like the idea, and I think it's great for
and then
kids. I
Mike
think
said,
it's something that the kids really need to have, is someplace they can go out and do that stuff, but,
I don't remember, Mr. Claypool gave me, they had, I think he listed 6 or 7 career paths. I don't remember building construction if they've got.
we don't have.
There's
we
nothing
don't
like that,
have
okay.
construction.
That takes that away, but Steinberg's a good place because they've done stuff, I know, for Logansport Parks before, like, I think that they did some donation for the one up at the city pool. I think Steinberg's did that. And they've started doing these since then, and they say these are real nice, because it just say they're no maintenance, and you know, the city council and budget and stuff like that. I mean, it's just really hard to get more head count in the parks department when you got some other needs out there.
Well, and I'm wondering if I reached out to Matt, if he would help with the storage part, like to build that, or maybe our FFA class could somehow do the storage part. If we went with one of those structures. And Jan, she gave me all of her contact information that she uses. And I don't know.
I think the first one the parks did, they had the Century Career Center kids do that. The
Yeah.
problem was, by the time those kids get on the bus with all the tools, go to the site, work, get back on the bus, they have
She
35 or
said
40, it
it
took forever to get
That's what she
it done.
said.
So when they finally, I think, had Grand Industrial, the last one, and I think they gave them, now there again, I think they gave them a donated, it wasn't in, the cost wasn't 100% what they normally would charge, that was a much faster way to get it done. But yeah, I mean, because you could always, I mean, you could even pour the cement pad longer and build the storage part could be out there with its own little like mono roof or something like that. It depends how much room you need inside, I guess, if you're gonna have, you know.
Not a lot, just to put some,
I think that the one like that, I think it holds like 50 people, because we looked at those,
that does.
yeah. You can give them different sizes, but like, the parks were looking when they're having the whole thing with the Spencer Park Pavilion and saving it and blah, blah, blah. For 50,000, they could have bought like 4 or 5 of these at 50 people each versus fixing up the old one. That was one of the options, and then, you know, historic preservation came into the picture. But, so like that one there, I think holds like 50, is what they say. So
Which is nice if you have two
If you took out, like,
classes.
say, I mean, if you got shovels and rakes, you're talking about maybe a 4-foot by the length of the building, which is probably 20-some feet maybe.
yeah, I think it's 22, she
Okay,
said.
and so, I mean, and you could, and actually, I mean, the truth is, we wouldn't have to go all the way down. You could have a 4-foot by 8-foot little storage thing in there, and the nice thing is, since it's clear span like that, you can always add on to it, you can always rebuild it, you can take it out. I mean, you're not limited by the fact that it's holding up part of the building. It's just a box that you're gonna stick under there. So,
But I like the idea, but I think maybe we need to table it until we figure out
probably,
where we can
that's what we probably need to do.
and get a little bit more information.
And I
Maybe you can
understand
find somebody that can help you out with your costs, because that's, I mean, $60,000.
It's expensive.
Even if we gave you, whatever it is, you're gonna be out looking for $10,000 or $15,000 more.
Any thoughts, Perry? Okay. So, yeah, for the moment, we'll just set aside see what the situation, I mean, see what you got. I mean, I think talking to Steimer is probably good first
Okay.
stop. And most likely, the cement slab is probably the part that, well, I mean, you need, yeah. Well, maybe they would don't, I've seen cases before, like, uh, the AIM Park where Shepler would, donate the pad, but then we paid them to do the upper structure or whatever. So it could be a case where they're not gonna, it's not gonna be 100% donated by them, that they would do the actual, put it together, and then, maybe they donate the pad, or maybe they donate the top part, or maybe they donate the labor or
Yeah,
whatever.
and maybe I should talk to Grand first. I like the fact that they've put 5 of them together, or 4 of them
True,
together.
true.
So maybe if they were gonna get the job to put them together, they would donate
Right,
a pad or something.
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah, I think we're not against it. I think probably,
No.
for my 2 cents, I think the best way to do it is look at like, is a quality of life thing, like we did like parks, and, you know, do we see a value to that kind of stuff? And I think in this case, it's kind of a double home run, because you do have kids, you know, Perry talks about when culinary kids and all those kind of different kids learn different stuff. You know, anything we can do to get these kids educated and break out of any kind of cycle of poverty. You guys don't have as big a problem there, but get that into and hopefully come back to the area and work here or whatever is what we're about, so.
I would say one of the things, like having kids come back, the extension office, the young lady's running the extension office for the county right now, is a past student
Yeah.
that has gone through this program. She went through Purdue, or she's working with Purdue, and now is with the extension office running that as their educational component.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're talking about people coming back. That's a
Right.
good example of where you see somebody coming back in a management position that actually is helping your community again
Yeah.
from something like that.
And that stuff hits all kind of places. I've got a son-in-law that was a forestry major. He works for Duke Energy now, and they go in a helicopter and they tell him, because, you know, I gotta cut power line trees, and so you take this tree skill and you put it into a place of how do you do it, and then obviously you cut trees and people get pissed off because you cut their tree in their backyard, but you got a power line run through their backyard or whatever, but, so I think there's just, this stuff leads to all kinds of different, like you said, kids didn't know anything about entomology or whatever until you had this stuff, so I think we're probably open to the idea. I'd say maybe firm it up a little bit farther into what you really want to ask us for, and what, you know, a lot of times, we're kind of famous for coming in at the end of the project and helping out when you just need a little push over the line, what we need to do to help you do that, and I think we'll probably.
okay,
cases.
so,
So I'd probably talk to Steinberg and see what they could do, or talk to Grand, and then, you know, see if they would donate any portion of it, I mean, you know. And
All
then,
right.
and then figure out how, you know, you probably need to figure out too, the storage you want to have, how much, I mean, it doesn't need to be the length of the whole thing. You could have something there, as long as they fasten it down, nobody was able to vandalize it or tip it over or whatever. So then come back and see us and we'll take it from there.
okay, so I should reach back out to you then?
That's fine, yeah.
Okay.
Just- We'll put you back on the agenda sometime.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks, Amy.
Have a great week.
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay. Now we get to move on to some exciting stuff, a lot of bond stuff. Got some bond payments, we got some trustee fees, we got that kind of stuff, so I'll run through this here. Next thing on the agenda is Resolution 2024-331. This is the authorizing payment for the annual trustee fee and bond payment for the Junction Bond, which is the mall. The amounts for this are, in Section 1, $1,500 for the trustee fee for Security Federal Bank, and then Section 2, $24,934.95, which is the actual bond payment for the year. I'll make a motion, we accept Resolution 2024-331 for the Junction Mall bond payment and trustee fee. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by sign of aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Okay, Resolution 2024-332. This is the bond payment for the Salai Hotel bond, and it is basically, in section one, the payment is $42,817.94. There does not appear to be a trustee fee here, which I assume maybe that other one covers.
Yeah, the trustee,
Covers all of it.
you guys covered the trustee payment in February for this.
Okay.
So it's a
Okay.
once-a-year thing, they're offset.
All right.
Because there were 6 months between the two bonds.
I
when we
got
did
you.
them.
Okay. So I'll make a motion to accept resolution 2024-332 in the amount of $42,817.94 for the bond payment for the Salai Hotel, and that comes out of the TIF fund number 416/4451. Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. The motion passes. All right, next is, oh, this is an interesting one. Resolution 2024-333. This is kind of interesting. We had this in our business when they come in and audit you from the insurance company for previous periods, and if your payroll goes up, et cetera, they hit you for more money for the payroll type workers' comp and stuff. This one is where with the additions of on the Banks of the Eel project, by having change orders that increased, the insurance company has come back and asked for an additional $3,305.82 that fills the gap for the increased exposure, liability, what have you, for that project. Is that how you understand it, Dwayne?
Pardon me?
Do you understand? I mean, I think it's how this originally the
Yeah,
project
this was,
we contracted for an amount.
you had contracted for the
Million.
or 1.5 million, 350.
Right.
And it went up $3,000 because the length of time that it took for the parking lot to get completed went beyond his year bond.
Oh.
So I think this is the additional $3,000 to cover the insurance bonding that was needed to be done for the city.
Right.
And so you're actually you're trying to just approve $3,305
Right.
to cover that.
Cover
And
that
and
gap.
and accordingly, we're done.
Yes, yes.
So
Yes.
your total, and Perry, this is what you were asking. The total then is 1.503656, and I was just sitting up here doing the math to tell you what the amount is that RDC is into that for, so that I can give you a total real quick. 326. So it looks like 623,000 is about what you guys have put into it. So that, to answer your question from earlier.
So, yeah. So right now, as I said, we're being asked to pay the additional.
Yeah, you're being asked to pay the additional
Yeah,
$3,000 to
by-
cover the insurance that went in
To
because
the-
the project went for so
Over,
long.
right.
Yeah. You went
Over, and I think it was also because it went, the change orders are part of that too.
That we already paid.
Correct. Yeah, we paid that, but the liability insurance for that, like the bond and the bonding
Right.
of that stuff, so. I just say,
They had to take out another year.
I don't love it, but it is what it is.
It's a lot of money.
Okay, I'm gonna make a motion, we accept 2024-333 in the amount of $3,305.82 coming out of the Consolidated District TIF Fund, number 413/4449, for the gap on the bond insurance on the Banks of the Rio project. Is there a second?
I second.
There. Sorry. All right, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
You know,
Whoops.
I do have a question though, Mike, with this. So, I was talking, we paid that much money for this parking lot.
The community pay, I mean, we didn't pay, the TIF did not pay all of it, correct?
Right. And I'm not, I'm just asking. So, the community agreed to that, to do that. That's a large amount of money. And I'm just, this is why I'm asking. Have you ever went to anything and asked for money too, for your parking lot?
No.
Why? The only
Because-
reason I'm asking, and I'm not trying to
Right.
boost you up or whatever, but that's Logansport parking. I mean,
True.
they use it so much, but yet you're
Every football
required to
game.
keep that. I mean, I just don't think it's, if we're gonna do that for this, why are we not doing that for another business? That's
Well,
what I'm saying.
I will
I mean,
tell-
that, to me, that's a lot of money.
I will tell you this, back when we purchased the old Kmart building, we came and asked the city for stuff. At that point in time, they were not in the business of loaning, giving any kind of breaks to retail stores. It was all about factories, bringing factories to town, that kind of thing. They did, I think, when Big R came in there, they gave Big R some money, and they didn't give it to us. Yes, we need a new parking lot, and yes, I've priced it out before. It's kind of a case where I see, at the same time, like our business, we are thankful to our customers because we wouldn't be there without them. I also see the fact that when new things come to town, it also benefits all of us. So, the fact that we're saying, okay, we're not gonna replace our parking lot because we can't afford it, but at the same time, this project, originally, I mean, there are still, I think, 45 parking spaces designated for the parks to use. So the city originally kind of looked at that, and they encouraged this development start. Since then, there's now been, how these things kind of snowball. From what I can see, there's interest in having, from the parks all the way down to Sixth Street, there's new life in the fact, and maybe some excitement that, there's some places that are looking that might want to, to be part of that. I would have
But
never.
what I'm looking at is this, for the park to use that, the park uses that area a hell of a lot less than what we use your parking lot.
Yeah.
That's what I'm bringing up.
Yeah.
I'm bringing it, I mean,
No.
I don't know if it's because you're you're running the show here, but fair is fair. So, to me, as much, that's taken all the way to the gas station. I mean, it is full and a lot. And that parking lot, nothing against you, but, you do so much money and then it is in disarray, and then you do so much money and then it's in disarray. And that's just because it's used so damn much.
Yeah.
That, what are we doing, If we can do it for one business, we should be able to do it for another business. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, and,
So I think you need to figure out something and come back to us.
no, I mean, I just say, Bill Cuppy said often that I should, there's a certain, I think, conflict of me when I sit on this board. Someday I'll retire and I'll ask, but, it's a case where, it's not,
But fair is fair, and that's the way I look at it.
I was saying, we already, at the time that we moved there, we spent roughly $1.5 million to get that building that we're at. That's what you do. We could have stayed down on Spear Street. But, in this case here, I'd say, and I give credit to the visionary folks that have done this event center. I'm not sure I would have put it there. When I go down there now and stand in the back of that building and look at that river and think, wow,
It's pretty.
it's beautiful. And, I didn't have that vision because I'm thinking, you should have put on the east end, shouldn't you on the east end, And I look down there and they, however, have become the kindling that's going to create a nicer fire to extend down to Sixth Street, extend down to all those businesses in the downtown. Again, my whole life people talked about, we're gonna have businesses on the second floor and da-da-da-da-da-da. And, you know, I'm 64 now, and that started when I was 21. So 40 years I've been hearing people tell me about how they're gonna do something downtown. All of a sudden, we now have downtown in a whole different, I mean, in the last 3 years or so, you know, the People's Winery and Black Dog and Bonus Pints and Pizza and whatever else is going on down there in your business, you know, science project. I mean, it's just a whole hub of activity down there that couldn't have happened. And then I say, in this board, we've provided some money for these fire escapes for, I think it was People's Winery, Bonus Pints, and Black Dog, that allowed them to open up those second floors. So now, again, for 40 years, people have been telling me, we got to use these second floors, and finally it's happened 40 years later when we first started talking about it. So there's a part of me that says we all do better when our community grows. So it helps my business if we have more people in town.
But they ain't helping your parking lot.
No, it doesn't. As I say, you know, and again, it's, you know, but last time I priced it was something like $600,000, $700,000 back 15 years ago or whatever, and it was when asphalt was cheaper. But you know, there's nothing stopping, as Bill Covey has often said, there's nothing to stop me from doing that than me. You know, I could ask for that, but I just feel uncomfortable being here and doing this and then asking.
Step out.
Well,
Let Erin tell her. She's got like 50.
I gotta find someone to take care of this spreadsheet, and then I can get out. Yeah. Anyway, here and there. So that's, you know, I am excited about what's happened with downtown Logansport. I'm excited at this event. As I say, I would, if I was the owners of the event center, I would have questioned putting it there. It's beautiful. And I've seen drawings of what can happen
Well,
down
finally
the
something's
street.
happening on the river.
Yeah.
That's the whole.
Yeah, utilizing that, and then, you know, I mean, so, you know, it just,
You know, we sit here and joke about we're spending another $3,000, and, you know, it just keeps coming and coming, and I know that the end result is what Mike was saying, is that the end result will be that there's gonna be more things happening down there.
yeah.
And I also agree with you, is that other people could use money to do a parking lot too.
Well, the whole thing is to me, it's not like, oh, let's do something over at one of these other facilities. No, if the community is continuously using something, what are we doing for that business owner?
Yeah.
That's my biggest thing. So, I mean, I gotta get in front of Aaron, but both of us are busy, but I'm gonna do something down here. I don't want everybody parking in my parking lot. I don't know how much you pay for yours, but mine's pretty damn expensive, and I'm sitting there going, man, and people don't care. They're gonna park there anyway. Well, I'm sorry, you don't pay my taxes, you don't reseal, you don't paint, you don't do anything. You just throw your trash out, and I gotta go pick it up. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I got the same thing
Well-
down here, but you got, you know, you say 45 parking places, there's 100 and some.
Right.
That thing is
Well, and
packed.
they're gonna they let the parks use more, like 4th of July, I think that you can have more, but you know, so if it gets down to the brass tacks of what they've committed to, it's like 45.
But that's, we're talking 4 or 5
And-
events.
And I'll say, in the big picture, since I've sat on this board, I mean, I've seen, when I was on the school board representative on this board, they gave money to help bring Dairy Queen to town. At the time, I said, hey, what about Bob Shank's Happy Burger? What about Charbette's? What about Sycamore? And they've never gotten a penny either. So I just think sometimes we do things because that's the right thing to do for our community. As I say, it seems squirrely that we gave money to help get the theater to town, that hurt the State Theater downtown. I mean, and then I look at what happened there with the State Theater. It's now beautiful and as a nonprofit, and they've got entertainment coming in that helps the community. So it's just kind of weird how we have to just do. I mean, there's no tit for tat on everything. It's just a matter of that. I think we serve a purpose. I don't know. This is dragging so much too long, but anyway. So let's finish this one off. So, did we?
We voted.
We voted. Okay, so we're moving on. All right. Now, resolution 2024-334. And this is, oh, this is the Career Center. Okay. So this is basically, there is a quote behind this from Quality Plumbing and Heating. My understanding of this is that when they built the Career Center a gazillion years ago, when they put the ventilation in, they didn't have the volume of welding going on that they do now. And so this is basically a ventilation system that, not that it's unsafe right now, but this is redoing the ductworking and things. They're gonna reroute it. Apparently it used to go right down the middle. It blocked the usage of some of the Career Center there. So they've reworked this, and obviously, I mean, you know, there's a better way to do that. It also allows them to have more, you know, that the welding stuff puts off gases and stuff like that. So this is to help with that thing there. So this is part of that educational training fund that we talked about earlier with Amy. They are requesting $49,400, and that's to construct a new fan system in the welding shop, paid directly to Quality Plumbing and Heating and/or to reimburse Logansport School Corporation. Is there, I'll make a motion, we accept Resolution 2024-334 in the amount of $49,400. And it's broken down here into which TIF districts it would come out of. And that's part of our budget for that based on the state stuff. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
So that's just for the fan system?
The
Fan
ventilation,
system to get rid of
the fumes and all that
welding
kind of stuff.
Fumes
Yeah.
or something?
Gonna get rid of the ozone that comes off the welders.
Right.
50 grand for that?
I don't, yep.
So,
Basically, here, they describe it here, they install the Green Heck Universal Single with backward fan model, blah, 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 belts, concrete gray finish, mounted and install an existing pad. So it must be some kind of a ventilation, air conditioning, or whatever unit. Supply and install ductwork to existing ductwork throughout outdoor location to tie onto the fan, reroute existing 26-inch spiral pipe, the existing wall and connecting to the exhaust fan. The discharge piping will be terminated with 135 gooseneck and bird screen. There you go. So yes, I don't know enough about welding to know what it takes. This obviously is what I think it takes.
who's the company doing this here?
QPH, that's Quality Plumbing and Heating out of Bunker Hill. They, I know, do a lot of work for the schools. They did like, they work at Columbia when they redid all the lighting, LED lighting. They also did the sprinkler lines or stuff like that. They do a lot of their, furnace and that kind of stuff, air conditioning. Okay. Okay, all those in favor signify by a sign of aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Okay, resolution 2024-335. This is Lexington Village bond payment. So this one, again, I think is just the bond payment, no trustee fees. So.
Correct, you've already,
Paid that the same earlier one that we
Yeah.
did. Okay, so I'll make a motion, we accept resolution 2024-335 in the amount of $49,265.63 from the Lexington Village Bond Interest Fund, number 421/4478. Is there a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by a sign of aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. The motion passes. All right. Resolution 2024-336. This is, do you want to explain this one?
well, when we did Lexington, when you bonded at Lexington, you had 4 accounts that you created. One was the bond construction to pay for the F&K work. You did a bond issuance fund, which paid for all the paperwork that was done by Baker Tilly and Dennis Auden and Bozeman and Kelly Lehman and everybody else that was involved in that. Then you have a bond debt reserve fund, and then you also have the interest fund, which is what we pay the bond from, which is what you just approved.
Right.
So we're done with all the issuance expenses. You've paid off Baker Tilly, you've paid off Bose McKinney, you've paid Kelly Lehman. Everybody that needed money to process all this is done. There was about $3,000 left in there. It's just sitting. So while you're getting interest on it, you might as well go ahead, and we should never need that account again.
Right.
Close the account, and then move that money into the interest account so that, again, it'll continue to grow money, and then you can pay bond payments with this $3,000 to help offset some of that cost. So that's kind of the idea behind this.
Yep, so we're just moving it over to a different fund. Okay, I'll make a motion to accept Resolution 2024-336 in the amount of $3,748.79. We'll be moving that money from the Bond Issuance Expense Fund, number 420, over to the Lexington Village TIF Bond Interest Fund, number 421. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
Will the interest go into the discretionary fund?
No, this is Lexington Village. That's a whole separate. Discretionary funds is the universal over on the commercial side.
Okay, all right.
This is the residential TIF, which is a different deal.
So all that money will roll over.
Yes, right. Now, we have so many, we know that sooner or later, the houses are getting built now. So a year after they get built, then they'll start having property taxes and they'll start paying, the bond stuff will come from that money
Okay.
when that goes, but, okay.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, all those in favor signify, sign an aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. The motion passes. Okay, Resolution 2024-337. This is it's going to amend Resolution 2024-325 for the payment of the utility tap fees for the properties in Lexington Village. We started out originally with the Logansport Utilities gave us original price, I think $650 for the tap fee for electrical and $1,000 for the water. They realize they're going to need to run, and most of these properties are going to have to run the electrical underneath the driveway, which has some conduit work and that kind of stuff. So they raised it, I think it's $150 more than they originally quoted for the first house. So, so we're actually increasing the amount of we allocated, I think, enough to do 4 houses, wasn't it?
You allocated enough to do 4 houses, and because they increased their rate, and added an account fee on there, you went from $650 to $800 on your electric. You didn't approve enough. You'd have enough to approve for two more houses, but that 4th house you're not going to get in this year. So this amends that resolution so that you can get all 4 houses permitted for construction to get started on. And and it is not changing the water; it's only changing the electric fee.
Yeah,
is all it's doing.
So, okay, so I'll make a motion to accept Resolution 2024-337, and it's going to amend Resolution 2024-325, and what's the total we're changing it by? $4,000? No. Well, let's just go through there. So it's going to be Section 1, we authorize the payment of $3,500 from the discretionary fund. In Section 2, it authorizes the payment of $4,000 from the discretionary fund also. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Further discussion. I know you like to always talk about utilities. Nothing today?
It's just a bad subject with me. I understand where LMU is, but at the same time, it is what it is. We gotta keep moving forward.
Yeah, I agree. And I would say, you know, I find that in some of the meetings I end up in, I feel that Greg Toth is trying to do what's right for Logansport. And I say, sometimes it's hard for me. I know that you get look at the nickels and dimes and stuff, but I look at it saying, you know, we could go beat them here and say, hey, wait a minute, I thought you guys told us it was going to be this. And they did originally offer us that we could pay for it all in advance, and we chose not to. And they said, well, if you do that, it could go up, you know, over time. And we didn't pay them all in advance. So, but I see other cases where they come to the table and do things that cost them bigger money than this kind of stuff, and I am appreciative of that. I mean, I know there's lots of things you've got that are, you know, individual cases that have things, but in the big picture, I feel like they're doing things that are good for the community, including that water line in the street thing that you know, they chased after and got that bond or that funding from that to do that and make our water better, you know, in the town. And you know, then all they hear about is the potholes and stuff. So it's as usual. You think you're doing something good, and it comes back to haunt you. So anyway, that is. I think that again, when I kind of talked to Bill Cuppy about this, is do we want to fight about a small amount of money? I know it all adds up, but I think in this case they're doing us enough other favors too. So, all right. So I'll make a motion to accept. Well, I guess we made the motion. We've done discussion. All those in favor signify by sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. The motion passes. Okay. Next on the agenda is we finished the property purchase at 916 Ray Street. This is one of the buildings that was sitting in the way in progress on the, as you move down towards 6th Street here. The building was appraised and paid for, and I'm giving you the documents here. Total, $65,204.25, I think is the total. Maybe it was 65,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was purchased for 65,000. I don't know, I'm trying to look all the closing documents. So that's basically for information purposes. Next thing on the agenda is the bid opening for the 6th Street property. That's the old El Tipwell building. It came in, the appraisal was 100 and, let me find that. The bids had to come in at least $117,500 for the appraised amount of the building. I think in the big picture, the appraisers did not really look into the condition of the roof.
How much did you say it appraised for?
The higher bid was $117,500.
One, you had two appraisals, I think one came in at 140, and I think the other one came in at,
Oh, so they maybe averaged the two or something?
yeah, we had to take the average of the two. I think the other
Okay.
one was like
58 or something?
50 or
Yeah.
60,000, somewhere in
Yeah.
there. But you averaged them, and the average appraisal was 117.5.
117.5.
Yeah, 117.5 was the
Sound like-
average. of
I
the
thought you
two.
So
said
that was the
100.
minimum, that was the minimum bid that was put on the
Right.
offering pack.
Right.
Okay.
So my suspicion is that we've had, I think, 3 or 4 people that are interested in it. And so I think that probably they're all thinking, geez, I'm not sure, for what I gotta put in to fix that roof, I'm not sure it's worth $117,000. So now, since we have not had anybody, you know, put any bids in, there's no bid opening to happen, and now it reverts back to, you know, to Bill Cuppy to be kind of the negotiator, trying to see.
So just whoever purchased this, I mean, the city owns it now, right?
The RDC owns it now.
Huh?
We own it.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
But what I'm saying is the contamination. any idea who's gonna be responsible for that? Guarantee it's contamination. So what we're running into right now is we have people that we've sold houses to, my real estate company, that we've sold houses to that are contacting us almost on a weekly basis right now. Everything that's north of Water Street, because of the battery factory, the ground is contaminated. So now, all these people have lawyers, and they're coming back to us because of the contamination of the soil of the house that they bought from us. So we're having a lot of fun right now. With that being said,
Does that-
this sitting right across from a factory, and I don't know what it was, probably a factory at one time, I would think of some kind. I don't remember.
Well,
I'm
yeah.
not as old as you guys.
Exide there, and you had,
Matthew Warren had that also?
Yeah, they own on the other side of it.
Oh, they've never owned a building that's for
That's what I'm
sale.
saying, who had the building that we own?
I think,
Oh,
didn't that used to be
no.
something with the.
the one we're talking about right now, that's the El Tipwell, that's, so,
I know, but it wasn't always El Tippewa,
Oh.
it was there before that.
I don't know that.
I don't know that.
That's what I'm saying, for the contamination of the ground.
Yeah, you have to go back to the records.
So what I'm trying to get to is this, is if somebody buys this and the ground is contaminated, then who's responsible? The person that bought it or us?
I don't know when the inspection process happens, when you buy real estate, usually you have it evaluated. I don't know whether in these, like the appraisals, they're not doing that stuff, but I mean, again,
Well,
in
they're
some
definitely not
cases,
doing that, no.
it runs into where somebody might insist on a phase 1 or phase 2 environmental check. I don't know whether that's a mandatory on any building that, I mean,
It's not mandatory? So you see what I'm saying, I mean, because there's a factory
Just the
right there.
building, too, right? There's no ground under the building.
there's very little ground there. I mean, it's pretty much all building.
I don't think it's.
And it's all slabs, I don't know whether, you mean, again, I don't know. But again, if you, your point, if it, there's crack in the cement and they're putting battery acid in or whatever, I mean, I don't know, but I don't, what I don't know is like when the school corporation bought it originally, they had, like when I got Eastgate, I had to pay for phase 1 there to have it, because they had an oil changing thing there.
Well, school, the last project did an environmental, so I wonder if they did environmental ones.
I would think they did. I mean, they're pretty
So you could look at
wonky
that
about
or
that.
talk to Jacob
Yeah,
to do another one.
but to your point, we now own it.
Right, that's
and-
what I'm saying, I don't.
And I don't know, I'm gonna say, I don't know whether when I think the idea was that we would turn the school corporations can't own, it's a long story, but if they own properties, you can then have a charter school come in and want to use that building. If the school owns it but not using it, they can insist that you fix it up for them. The school would have to pay for somebody else to put a charter school in, blah, blah, blah. So the schools like to move those properties off their rolls fairly fast because of current legislation that does that. So, the idea is that they moved it to us. Bill had some people that seem like they're interested, so we could move it pretty fast. I don't know whether we can have documentation we say, like, it's an as-is thing and it's not, we have no liability for that. I don't know,
It just, it seems like a lot of these factories that we had in town at one time is, boy, it really,
Yeah. I don't know.
with the level of cleanness now, the grounds needs to be,
Right.
it's really, that's something else.
I know there's stuff going on over on Water Street where they've done some cleanup on some stuff, and I think
Well,
that,
it's a little crazy right now, I don't know why, I think our one house that we sold, I think it's pretty close to Columbia. It's this side of Columbia School, well, it used to be Columbia School, but anyway, on 3rd Street, maybe 3 houses, yeah, 3 houses down from, it's that whole area.
how does,
Basically, anything north of Water Street, people have it's contaminated.
they drew boundaries, all those homes within those boundaries, and I think the boundary ran up to Columbia Street, the south side of Columbia Street, basically entailed everything from Water Street down that way. And, you know, all those homeowners had the option of saying yes. They had to volunteer to have their soil tested. You couldn't just go in there and test.
Well, what they have going on now is there's actually attorneys getting hold of each individual household and pursue it. It's a little
And they're
different.
coming after you because you sold the property.
Uh,
And they're coming after your real estate agent because
they are talking
sold
to
the
the real
property.
estate, and we're sitting there going, whoa, we didn't, we don't know anything about anything.
Yeah, I don't,
They got down to Levi Sullivan as is, right? So
I mean, who would know anything about anything about that? You know? The house has probably been sold 2-3 times, and
yeah.
here we are sitting there going, I'm sorry. I mean, everything that comes around a factory, we're gonna do a soil test on now?
Well, I mean,
I mean,
right now, I don't think there's any law that says you have to do a phase one on every house you sell, so I don't think there's any. Buyer beware.
it's a little crazy. I mean,
Okay.
every house in town right now should have a radon pump. I mean, we don't, I mean, it's a little different right now.
Okay, so we will basically, that will move on to, back onto Bill's desk, and he can start to deal with all that.
So
Aaron, you get-
when did that bid, when will the bidding
it was
start?
supposed to be bid today by 11
By
o'clock,
11 o'clock.
and
okay.
nobody, we got no, but I think there were 3 or 4 people that were interested, so I presume that what, they were scared off by the $117,000 price tag, and thought, hey, I'm at to spend money on a roof that's a fairly good-sized building, it's probably, $60,000 or more for the
At least.
roof.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe more. So, it's kind of a tough issue. I've seen that before where you want to buy a building, but then it needs $1 million roof or whatever. Okay, Aaron, you got anything else?
Come on, you have to have something.
She's worn out. Any public comments? All right, any board member comments?
Yeah, I'll let this one slide by me, but, so the 916 Ray Street,
Yes.
okay, so we purchased it. And is it gonna be tore down?
I believe that's the plan.
And but that's our plan.
Are we gonna be paying for that, or are we gonna go over to Dave and say, put it in Rob's budget to tear it down?
And I'm gonna say, well, Tiff caught it.
Yeah, I thought we talked about having it torn down at the time we bought it. And I don't remember.
It was discussed in the meeting when Bill presented it, that
Yeah.
the intent was you're gonna tear it down
Right.
because it needed to be,
Well-
the property was much more attractive to be sold without the house than with the house.
Right.
And I agree, it needs to be tore down, especially since we own it now. It's just gonna, it's gonna gather
All kinds
what
of
out
good
stuff.
stuff.
It was actually strange, the strange part of the story, when I went down to the title company to sign this stuff, the homeowner didn't show up right away. And they had been doing something next door or something. They bumped into his porch or something like that with a excavator or something like that, and they were working next door, and so he was upset at that, but they could, it's like, but it's gonna be torn down, like in a month or something, But I mean, I think that what Bill was after here is part of this project, there are some people considering putting in some stuff next to the event center, and that was sitting in a place that you need to have ownership of that to say, we can get you clear title because we now own this. And I think he talked to this guy was in and out, in and out, and in and out, and he's now got that. So we now own that.
Yeah,
So.
I guess my question is, we're gonna tear it down, because we got $65,000 in it now, and we're gonna tear
Correct.
it down, so we're
Yeah.
gonna have $80,000 in it.
Well,
It's all
I
done.
think originally you had 85 budgeted, I think, in the budget, Bob,
Yeah.
I think,
I think so
for
too.
that whole property. So I think that was part of the idea, was if you got it cheap enough, you'd already have budgeted money for demolition.
And I think we should tear it down as soon as possible.
Yeah, I think it makes it better when it's not there and people can see. It also shows that we're making progress trying to get that area developed to bring stuff in. So they can see that we're serious. They don't say, yeah, we'll probably get that, I mean, and, now, of course, it also, you got other people down there, they're going, oh. But this went for the appraised value, so they can't really expect, I want $300,000 for that or whatever.
We'll have somebody living in it pretty soon if we don't do something with it.
A group home. Okay. Perry, you got any other comments? I don't either. Meeting adjourned. Thanks, guys. I was kind of surprised. I thought Amy was probably here because of this guy. The guy talked about this fire thing. I'm like, oh, different topic.
I like the idea.
Yeah.